This is Life Transformation Radio. Prepare to engage. Seatbelt activated. Download initiated. Your quantum journey of transformation begins in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Life Transformation Radio. Hi, I'm Rob Actis, best-selling author of The Law of Action, voice actor, business mindset coach, the podcast whisperer, and Mr. Action himself. Here at Life Transformation Radio, we are committed to share more about real life, love, the power of positivity, romance, and of course, laughter. We care about helping others find their internal drive and purpose. We celebrate life's challenges and overcoming them. On the show, my guests are amazing people who are forces for good in the world around them and live a life of transformation. My guest today does just that. Today, Heather Hakes and I discuss how we have been conditioned into limiting and false beliefs. So if you want to understand the formula behind no limited beliefs and know that you are 100% responsible for every outcome in your life, this is the show for you. Heather is a mindset coach, speaker, and author of Take the Leap. She's been featured on numerous podcasts and published in Authority Magazine, Thrive Global, Voyage Denver, and Women Who Empower and Inspire. Heather has reached tens of thousands through her international podcast, Mind Over Matter. Heather specializes in helping others get out of their own way by awakening their infinite potential to create their ideal life. She's a graduate of Tony Robbins Mastery University and so much more. She has manifested six figures into taking the leap to quit corporate by aligning with her true passion and purpose, and is now on a mission to help others overcome their blocks through transformative coaching programs. Heather, welcome to Life Transformation Radio.
That is quite the intro. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Glad to have you here. I love it. I love talking about limiting beliefs, and I love being 100% responsible for every outcome in your life.
Yes. So the big thing behind that is what I talk about and what I'm very passionate about is understanding your subconscious mind, your subconscious programming. And that is something we have from birth up until age 7. We're a sponge. We're just taking in everything around us, our parents, our community, church, and whatever you're a part of. And, you know, the mind at that time has no filter. It's just accepting everything as true. So then when we get to adulthood and we feel unworthy and not enough and not capable and not loved, when you're trying to function from that programming, that's where we come up against the blocks. So Ultimately what I'm saying is anytime you're struggling, anytime you're efforting, let's say in your financials or relationships or your health, it's because you consciously have a desire, but you're not aligned subconsciously.
I love that. Okay, let's dive deeper into that. You're not aligned subconsciously. You have a great desire. What exactly do you mean by that?
Okay, let me paint a picture. I'm very visual.
Paint me a picture. Paint me a picture.
Think of an iceberg. So, you know, we can only see the tip of the iceberg, but we know if you've seen those visuals online or Google that the iceberg, what's below the surface, below, like our subconscious, is the massive most of it. And so when it comes to our mental programming, our conscious mind is 5%. Our conscious mind is that tip of the iceberg. That's where our wishes are, our desires, our hopes, our dreams. And that's amazing. That's our creative mind. But it's the 95%, the subconscious, where we hold our beliefs, our memories, our thoughts, our habits. And so if there's misalignment there, then that's when it leads to struggle.
I love it. That's a great picture. So would you say that it's almost like, this that's blocking to get to the 5%, because this, and I'm just waving my hand, is that it's the programming, it's that voice in your head that says, you can't do this. You can't do this. You're not enough. You're not going to be successful. Why even try? Is that the realm that is blocking the 95% from coming in? Or is that voice in the 5% above the ground or above the water?
If you want to think of it like this, yeah, it could be your ego. It is definitely your little self, but that self-critical, that one that, is judging you, is talking down on you, that you're not enough. Oh, you did it wrong again. That's not you. That's not the real you. But what we don't understand is it's like we have an undisciplined mind, right? And think about like a puppy, a brand new puppy.
That's my mind. I'm definitely a puppy. I'm definitely undisciplined, and I'm definitely a puppy. So,
yeah. But think about how difficult. I now have a 3.5-year-old dog, but those first few weeks and even couple months were difficult. But when I trained her and I was consistent and I told her what I wanted, I said that command. Right. I was able to train her. The same thing comes with your mind. Every single moment we have a choice between what we're feeding, faith or fear. So faith is also belief, faith is knowing, faith is confidence, or fear are all those negative limiting beliefs. So every moment you choose which one you're feeding.
Yeah, I think living in a world where you overcome your fears, and that's the epiphany. That's the grand hurrah. That's where the happily ever after comes from, when you break through your fears and you live in that the momentum of being in action. And that's where you want to get. And with overcoming just a little fear, and then you do another little fear and you get that freight train moving or that bicycle pedal moving. And that's when the beauty of life will come through. I think what happens is maybe the 95% maybe rises up, or the water line goes down. I don't know, but I'm visual. So I'm like, I'm watching. I can hear the sounds of like.
Well, and think about it this way. We all have different ways in which we build confidence. For myself specifically, I'm a mindset coach. I'm all about it. I also have an athletic background. I love being active. And I'll just give you an example of something very recent. I literally did it this past weekend a couple days ago. Are you familiar with David Goggins?
Please tell me more.
Okay, so David Goggins, he's a total badass. He's a former Navy SEAL, and Goggins wrote a book, Can't Hurt Me. And what I love about Goggins is he has accomplished a ton in his life, physical feats, because he has a mindset of steel. He has been able to overcome that negative self-talk, but he did it consistently. And I mean, he made that choice, and the guy has accomplished a ton. So anyway, he created the 4x4x48 challenge. And what you do is you run 4 miles every 4 hours over a 48-hour period. And when I first heard of it last fall, I first heard of it last fall, and I was like, it can't be that hard. 4 miles every
4 miles. Okay. First of all, I don't think I could walk 4 miles. I don't think I could run 4 miles. I mean, I was just talking to someone this morning about 75 hard, and I'm like, all right, that's so 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours.
So you will have accomplished 48 miles in a 48-hour period. Yes. But you can run or walk. The point is, and think about it, Rob, you could totally do it. Because even if you walked 4 miles every hour at a 15, maybe a 20-minute pace, that'd be pretty slow. 15's pretty average. You could easily walk 4 miles every hour, and you could walk it. But I mean, I did a run walk pretty much. Ultimately, here's the reason why I did it. I've run a marathon in the past. I've done triathlons, Tough Mudders. I like to challenge myself, because in these experiences, as I did in this race, I came up against walls. There's total sleep deprivation. I'm telling you, I think I counted up. I slept less than 10 hours over that period, because you're wired. But anyway, so yeah, I got to personally experience the power of mindset and negative self-talk, because I'm like, oh, it's too hard. I'll just quit. I can't do this. And I had to reel it in myself. And one of the runs, I literally am out there saying, I am a lion. I am strong. I am a finisher. But I'm aware, and I'm telling myself that we have that power. And anyway, long story short, this challenge reminded me that we are so capable of so much more. And as Goggins says in his book, Can't Hurt Me, that most people are running at like 40% of the capacity of what we're truly capable of.
Yeah.
Only 40%. So think of that. It. And I want
some people probably 20%.
Yes. And so I want people realizing like, oh my gosh, I haven't even tapped into my tank. You haven't even tapped in.
Yeah. It's amazing. Yeah. It's funny. I have a few friends that I think they're Ironman. I think it's Ironman. That's the one it is, where they do the run, the bike, and the swim.
Yeah.
And she was telling me, she's like, my body gave out a long time ago when she was she goes, it was the mind. I had to give, the body will keep going, but the mind just says, we're done. We're done. You're in a lot of pain. And it's amazing to watch the finish line. I mean, just to watch them at the very end is so amazing, because they've worked so hard, especially the ones that are the winners. You can see their brain. You can see their brain, like the conflict of their brain is like, yeah. Well, actually, not just the winners, but the people that are right behind the winners. Because the people that win, they run across it's like they just walked across the room. They're pretty amazing. But the ones that are probably the mid pack, and they're running across, and you can see the battle of their brain and their body as they're running and trying to get across the finish line. It's quite remarkable. If you've ever seen it before, to watch people win or complete an Ironman. And even when they're doing their swim or, because they have these different elements, it's amazing to watch. You can see the struggle of their internal mind and that voice. And a lot of times you can see it's like they're just barely doing it. They're like, and then all of a sudden they're like, screw you, brain, I'm going to do it. And they're like, and then they just run. It's the most, our brains are so incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
And, I think of that movie Limitless. I don't want to, 99% was a lot, but just how he was doing that, and just always imagine, that people say, what superpower would you like? I'd like to use, 99% of my brain. What you can do, because our brain is energy. It's not as analog as we think. And like in the movie, he's able to move things and see time and all that stuff and perceive, and because our brain works. And it's quite fascinating, how we have these roadblocks and how we don't, as evolved as we are, how we don't use our brain as much as we could.
Well, in that example, something I also said on one of my runs was, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, the body will achieve. And again, this is it's doing the mindset reps. It's challenging yourself, and the mind wants to keep you in your comfort zone. But we all know when you can push past that perceived barrier, the perceived obstacle or challenge, when you get on the other side, you can look back and go, oh, damn, that wasn't even that hard. It wasn't that bad. And then when you build that confidence and knowing, then you can take on so much more.
Yeah. When you overcome. So what I did was, I was afraid of heights, and I'm still afraid of heights. I'm actually less. I almost fell off a roof, 3-story roof, and I was dangling by my feet and someone was holding me. So I have a fear of heights a lot. And so I decided that I wanted to ride in a helicopter, which was a pretty big deal for me. And I was very stressed out. I videoed it. I'm going to have to post it someday. I have it on my phone. My wife was laughing at me because she's like, she was in the Army and she could fly in helicopters. She used to fly and crazy stuff. But she's like, yeah, let's do this. And I thought she was going to back out because it was kind of expensive. And usually she's like, oh, I don't want you to spend the money. And I said, let's do this. I picked the most expensive tour on this helicopter. It's a Daredevil tool. And I'm like, yeah, let's do this. She's like, you know what? We're in Hawaii and yeah, let's do it. And I'm like, oh crap. So that was I bought the tickets the day before. The whole night I was just a wreck. I'm like, oh my God, are you sure you want to do this? She's like, yeah. She goes, when I was in Iraq during the, Kuwait war, we were flying, 20 feet off the ground in these helicopters. And I'm like, okay, great. So we got there and I'm taking video myself and I was just a wreck. And I'm watching people and there was these little kids and I'm like, oh, this is so great. We're so excited. And, you go to the intro where they do the safety check and we're talking about stuff. And he goes, in the event of a crash, we're going to do this and this. I go, crash. And just all these things that could happen. I'm like getting all nervous. And these kids were all there. And I was just shaking. I was so scared. And I'm like, dude, you got to get through this. And I'm like, you just got to just do it. And so my brain was like really telling me all this stuff. Finally got on the helicopter and we're there. And right 30 seconds before we took off, I was like, just going to reach out and go, you got to get me out of here. And I didn't have a chance to do it. And we were taking off. And I have video of me and my face was red. And I'm like, oh my God, it was crazy. And then all of a sudden I was like, this is so cool. And I got so calm and so peaceful. And when I got off the helicopter, I was like, wow, that was like a Zen-like experience. And I knew my life would be different because I broke through such a big fear, and it did transform my life. It absolutely transformed my life. And, your brain is so powerful, and to be able to control it, because I agree, your body will do whatever you tell it to do. And we don't trust our bodies and our souls.
Yeah. Something I would like to offer in that example you just gave, because I love providing real life takeaways. As an example, somebody in that situation, you're creating a lot of mental chatter, a lot of mental chaos, anxiety, all this stuff. But instead, what I would like to offer is a simple technique of breath work. Had you paused and become present and just done some inhales and exhales and this breath work, because one, it takes your focus off the mental chatter, the crazy you're creating, and it connects that mind body. It would have calmed you right then and there, but at least you got to experience the mental chaos you created. Then you got over yourself out of, not by choice exactly, but then in the moment, in the experience, it was actually enjoyable.
It was, and I can hardly wait to do it again. It's interesting. So I like to push myself. So I went and did a flying trapeze. It's like 40 feet in the air. Now, it took me 20 minutes to climb up to do the flying trapeze. And I got up there, and it was crazy because whoever thought of this was just nuts. It's a clear acrylic platform, not solid. So you're standing up there, and it took me everything I had to get up there. And then he goes, you got to jump, because I was holding everybody up. And he goes, dude, you got to jump. You can't come down. You got to jump. And so I love what you just said, because I did that. I'm just like, just give me a second. And I breathed, and it just shut down all the voice. And I got to that piece of calm, and I was able to just jump. And then I did 4 more times. And it was amazing. When you stop and just be present, and you really just tap into you and your heart and your soul, what we're able to accomplish is so much.
Yeah. Something I'd like to share is all suffering is self-imposed. And that is a message I received. I did ayahuasca a couple of years ago. And through that experience, and on the first night, it was the second dose, through all this physical pain, and I was going in and out. It was a crazy experience, but I remembered one of the I forget what they were called, but one of the assistants said,
the guides, right?
If you're in turmoil and whatever, pause and ask for help. So I remembered that in this state, and I did. I surrendered on my mat. I was like, help me, please help me. And then I got this vision of a waterfall cleansing and releasing, and the serpent coming out of my stomach. And literally like that, the moment I asked for help, it all released, it let go. And then that message came. So what I would like to offer is, remember, all suffering is self-imposed, and that suffering stems from thought. It's those thoughts, the self-critical, the monkey mind, that's creating the emotions of fear and anxiety and all of that. So if we remember that, and remember power of the pause, breath work, coming back to, okay, change your thoughts, which will change everything.
Right. One of the things you talk about is being 100% responsible for every outcome in your life. And I am all about that. And I think people get confused when we say that. People say that is that then it means that you're to blame. All it means is that you made decisions in your life to get to where you are in your life. And when you have the ability to take responsibility for the way that your life is, you then have the responsibility to put it in a different direction. And so one of the things that I do, I love this. So it makes people so uncomfortable. So I got the iPhone 13 Pro Max. And the wildest thing is that there's no case on it. And this is the 1 terabyte phone. There's no case on it. And it makes people incredibly uncomfortable. Like, there's no case on it. It's a beautiful phone. They did a great job designing it. I love holding it in my hand. I don't want a case. And what I love about it, people say, why do you do that? Well, first of all, it's fun to make you feel so uncomfortable. I've had people in restaurants see my phone and they're like, why don't you have it really triggers people because it's not normal to have something like that that's so fragile, which it is fragile to do it. I've never dropped it. And it's such a metaphor for me and it's so worth it for me is that I take 100% responsibility for my life. Like I've made some bad business decisions and I lost a business and I know what I did wrong and I made the pivots and the adjustments. Like that's what I have done. And people think that they're to blame when they take responsibility.
No, I think it's taking your power back because here's the thing. We get to choose again every moment. Are you a victim or are you a victor? And we are not victims of our life. You can sit around all you want and blame the government, blame your boss, blame your parents, blame your partner. But how's that working for you?
Right.
So what I would like to offer is, okay, stand back and just become curious and be like, okay, what is this experience? What is this relationship? What is this teaching me? Where am I not yet healed? Peter Crone has a phenomenal quote about this, especially relationships are our biggest trigger and our biggest learning platform. But relationships will help us figure out where we're not healed yet. So anyway, 100%. It's not about blame. Like, this is not a blame game.
Right.
I just step back and go, why did I get this parking ticket? Or, why did I, whatever the situation would be, how did I create this?
Exactly. And it's good because you can dissect it. Why'd you get a parking ticket? Well, you looked at the sign. It was out there black and white or green, whatever the signs are now. And it says 2-hour parking, period, or no parking. And you made a conscious choice to park there. And with action, there are consequences, whether they're good or bad. And instead of, it's like people that get so mad getting a speeding ticket. They're driving 90 miles an hour down the road and they assume, I can't believe you're giving me a ticket. Yeah, but in this society, if you're driving under 10 miles over the speed limit, they're not going to bother you. If you're driving excessively fast, you're going to get a ticket. And then people are surprised they get a ticket. Well, you made a conscious choice to enjoy your high-performance Tesla or high-performance sports car and weave in and out of traffic. And it's not like you're to blame, but it's about put your big boy pants on, big girl pants on, and take responsibility. People get into relationships and they're like, oh my God, this is a crazy relationship. Yeah, but you saw the warning signs. Everybody said, this person is not good for you. And then you married them or whatever you did. And instead of beating yourself up, look like, oh, so the universe is giving me a life lesson. Learn the lesson and don't repeat it. Because if you don't, the universe will come back and teach you a bigger lesson.
Yeah. And everything is for us. I truly believe we are spiritual beings having a human experience. We are here for growth and evolving. And this is supposed to be our playground. This is supposed to be fun. So number one, like what we're talking about today, become aware of your limiting beliefs. And what I like to say, pull the weeds and plant new seeds because our mind is a garden. So whatever thoughts you're planting and fertilizing by rethinking, you reap what you sow. But we are just powerful, infinite beings. And it's like, I'm just here to shake people awake and help them remember that.
I just want you to keep saying your little lines. So what are some other good lines? I love them. There's I'm going to go back and take notes of all this. I love it. Like whatever little one-liners do you have?
Oh, I have a bazillion. I'm literally a walking quote book. But
okay, you be the walking quote. I want to hear the quotes. I want to hear Heather's quotes. I love them. They're so great.
That's a big one, is to pull the weeds and plant new seeds. Other ones I love when we're talking about manifesting. Now that we've taken responsibility for our life and we understand where we're at, now let's be forward focused. What do you want? What do you want to experience? Who do you want to be? And so something I talk about is to future riff as if. That's when you start thinking, speaking, and acting as though you have that financial setting that you want, the business, the relationship, the health. But to future riff as if, that's talking about, because then you embody it and you become it. You show up different. You're more confident. You're thinking different. When you think be and do different, you get different results in life.
And I think a distinction is it's not fake it till you make it. It's really not. You have to be the person that is able to be in that moment of that success. You have to be that person. And that's the one thing I think people miss. They're like, I'm going to fake it till I make it. No, that's air. I believe you have to be that person. You have to do the work. You know, the people that are successful in this world, if you ask them, they have done the work.
Yeah.
They have rigorously done the work. And their lives are not perfect. My life is not perfect. Heather's life is not perfect. We have challenges. We have obstacles. And we have done the work that we're able to move through those at a velocity and a speed that people that haven't done the work, that are caught in the morass of bullshit in our life of like, I'm a victim and all that other crap, that's where they get stuck.
100%. I still fall off track, but the time that I'm off is a lot shorter. It might be minutes, It might be hours, it might be a day or whatever, versus those who aren't doing this consistent work, who aren't mindful, who aren't being intentional. You fall off and then you stay off. But yes, we're humans.
I have a friend that has not done a lot of work on himself, and he's been mad about something that happened in our friendship circle for 3.5 weeks. I was over it in about like an hour and a half after it happened. I'm like, okay, it happened. Great. It's all worked out, blah, blah. But it's still there. And his life, his quality of life has been decimated because he's still in that space of 3.5 weeks ago. And, you know, as someone who I just did a podcast just before you, Heather, and we were talking about near-death experiences and my near-death experiences. And it's interesting because he's like, you're in a great mood. You're the most fun podcaster I've ever have been interviewed by. I said, look, I almost died. I know I shouldn't be here. I was told this is all a gift. So every waking moment, I try to make the most of it because it's borrowed time. And I'm so grateful to be alive. And, you know, one of the things that I say all the time is that live every day like you want to be alive. Not like you take it for granted. The thing that people don't realize, and I was saying this the other day, just imagine for a moment. People don't know what's important in their life. They tend to go through life and say, I don't know what's important or this or where to put eggs in the basket. I say this. Imagine for a moment, you've been taken to an office, you're sitting in a chair. It's a metal chair. It's a dark room. It looks like a police investigation. And you hear over the speaker, Heather, welcome. Your life is about to change. You will be on this planet for the next 60 minutes. What are you going to do? Choose wisely. And that makes it really clear of where you're going to go and who you're going to spend time with and who you're going to communicate with, not all the bullshit that goes on in our life.
Yeah. In that example from your friend circle, that guy, if he's not aware yet, he's simply addicted to drama. He's addicted to feeling victim. He's addicted to being angry or whatever.
Yeah.
But he can choose again any moment, and then his entire life will change.
Well, the good thing is it's starting to fade, which is a wonderful thing. But I know a lot of people that just stay mad. I'm like, I can't be mad for a long time. I don't think I've ever been. It's just life is too precious to because we get to choose the energy. Like, you know, they were talking about Chris Rock today, and I think it was Jim Carrey was talking about it. And he's like, man, if that was me and Will Smith slapped me, he goes, today I'd be filing a lawsuit for $200 million. And they asked him, they said, well, why do you think Chris didn't want to press charges? Because it's a pain in the ass. It's not worth his time. He doesn't want to be involved in that. That's not who he is. He's a light guy. He's this beautiful, light, heart-centered man. And he was a victim of violence, and it's devastated him. And he chooses to not move in the direction of that. And I think people tend to move in the direction of drama and anger and upset and, you know, getting triggered all the time. People love to get mad at stuff right now. Our society is, let's just get mad at everything. Yeah. Why? You know, peace, baby, you know, from the 70s, peace, baby.
Yeah, even what happened in Hollywood this past weekend, was Chris Rock a victim? I think for him, he stood up, took responsibility for his words, realized, well, maybe that was insensitive. So was he really a victim? Or what he was putting out, he's going to get, I believe life is a boomerang. What you put out in your thoughts, your feelings, your actions, you're going to get back. So at some point, maybe he deserved a slap in the face. That's all I'm saying.
Right. Yeah. But I'm just saying is that, to give that an example, is that, a lot of people, like someone does someone wrong, I'm going to sue you. Yeah. Have you ever been in a lawsuit? I'm sorry, but I lost a business over COVID. My partner screwed me over, and we're talking tens of thousands of dollars. However, during that time and the way that she did it and the way that she just dissolved things, it was so toxic. I'm like, it is worth it for me to lose that money and focus on the positive and generate from abundance instead of being in a courtroom and spending tons of money of my time and money and having to just have that negative energy. I choose not to do that. I want to be around positive energy. And I believe that this is a world of abundance and not scarcity. So I'll make that back.
100%. And good for you to choose that path.
Yeah. And it was funny because all my friends are like, you got to sue her. And I have I would have won unless it was a crazy thing. I have the documents, but I'm like, it's not worth my time. And it's funny because the day I made that decision, within hours, the opportunity to purchase Life Transformation Radio came before me, and I bought Life Transformation Radio. So the money that I was building a war chest on to sue her, I was able to apply to purchase this podcast. And I have done so much more for my personal self and for the listeners, and being able to give people a platform of their voices, so much better than spending on a lawsuit. Yeah. And the attorney had enough money anyways. So,
you know what I love in any scenario, kind of like what you just gave, a very simple statement, a very simple reminder is, do I want to be happy or right? I choose happy.
Exactly. Yeah. You can die being right, but I want to be happy. Yeah. I want to be happy. And Heather, I think you are just this incredible, just a beautiful soul. Just like, wow. Like, thank you so much for being here today. I really, really appreciate it. And thank you for round 2, because we had a technical problem the first time and we did the show and like, oh, okay, that didn't record. So we had to do it again. But this is even different. It was great. So thank you so much. If you want to reach Heather, you can reach her at heatherhakes.com. Thank you really for being here, Heather. I really appreciate it. And thank you, my listeners, for your support and love and taking the time out of your busy and precious day to listen to Life Transformation Radio. It means so much to me. Thank you for allowing me, along with my very special guest today, Heather Hakes, to touch your heart, move your soul, take responsibility, inspire you to live a life of transformation. I'm Rob Actis. Until next time.
This is Life Transformation Radio.
Download complete.